Welcome to Milestone Moments, the show where we explore the journeys that lead to success. I'm Sheila Slick, your host and founder of 5 Milestones. In every episode, we will bring you insights from the minds of entrepreneurs, leaders, and experts who will share not just their expertise, but the milestone moments that have reshaped their journeys and led to significant achievements. So if you're looking for motivation, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and discover the milestones that mark the path to success. Welcome to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. I'm Sheila Slick, your host, and today I have a special guest, Sandy Sembler, founder of Sakred She. Welcome to the show, Sandy.
It's so good to be here.
Well, I know that our listeners can't see your background, but it's so beautiful. It's got a gorgeous amethyst stone. I can't keep my eye off it. I can just tell the energy. This is going to be a really nice episode.
Yeah, I can feel it too. Yeah, consider we spent 20 minutes before we hit record.
Well, that's what I love about the podcast too, is some of the people that you meet, the relationships that we build.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So your love for free enterprise was born when you first started a paper route about 40 years ago. Then you founded Sun First Mortgage Company.
Yeah.
Can you share what led you to found Sakred She?
100%. So Sakred She essentially is my healing journey, how I ended up in this very moment here in 2024 to heal lots of patterns, lots of generational patterns that had me stuck and some limiting beliefs and what have you. I actually grew up in an Amway family. I grew up in a space where there were always books and tapes and functions and what have you. And I really know that my college came from books, tapes, functions, and all the things. I actually dropped out of college and was building my first distributorship at 19. And honestly, the 12-year-old paper route wasn't because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It really was more out of necessity because my dad left and we needed money. So it was more out of trauma, I found out. And so Sakred She was born because I had left a not so healthy marriage with my 10-year-old son at the time. And I was in therapy and thought I was doing all of this right, started another business. And as soon as I started dating again, ended up in another relationship like that. And so my best friend, who was also a fellow true blood entrepreneur, we actually had another business together. Rachel and I did. And right, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So anytime I'm like just always looking at different things. Anyway, Rachel was like, Sandy, this is a pattern. I need you to like change this. This has got to change. This is not who you are. It got me in front of Tony Robbins, 4 hours in front of Tony Robbins. He basically said, you know what? You have done well. You've done really well financially. You've done really well in business. You haven't really been done so well in your personal relationships. And so it's because you're showing up as a dude. You need to show up a little bit differently because you're showing up so masculine. And I was just like, what do you mean? Like, Sheila, I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, your drive, I'm imagining, is coming from trauma. And I didn't even know what that meant because, I always thought of trauma like with a big T. Of course, I found out the last 11, 12 years since I've been doing this work is that trauma can come in all different places, right? And so my drive was actually, and I can effectively blame my parents because the drive I have, the mission I have, the hypervigilance I have, if someone's telling me the truth or not regarding finances, my love for real estate, all came from hardship, our house getting foreclosed, all the things. So Sakred She was essentially me turning everything on its head, everything I had learned through therapy, realizing that the brain wants to keep you safe, not happy. And I'm like, I got to go study around the best teachers and mentors around the world. Like, I have to understand this. And I already had a coaching consulting business and I was coaching women around the world. And it didn't matter who they were. What I realized, Sheila, is that these women were happy, but they really weren't fulfilled in their life. And there was something going on where they were burning themselves out because they were operating out of a hard, masculine driven space as well. Maybe not because of trauma. I didn't necessarily know that at the time. I didn't know the questions to ask like I know now to get someone in their body, but they were very detached from their body. And I was like, I need more women to understand this. So Sakred She is my healing journey with all the different modalities that I have learned and really just fine-tuned through the years. And then I'm able to gift it back to the world.
So is it for women only? And What does Sakred She offer? How do you help others?
It generally starts, I'll be honest, with the more feminine being. I primarily work with women initially, but I do have couples programs, but it always starts with the woman first. I have signature programs where I do most of my work online. My live events, I have several each year, but I love my one-on-one mentorships. I get to parachute into somebody's life, and then I curate a program specially for that particular individual. And then I have my signature sisterhood program, which is world renowned. It's such an amazing program because we cover how you do anything is how you do everything. How are you showing up in the world? It's not just for your romantic life, but really in everything you do. We cover father wounds and mother wounds and sister wounds and limiting beliefs. And also what I'm really fantastic with is the art of embodiment. How can we embody the life that you truly want? How can you actually bring more pleasure into your life? Like really enjoy what we do. It's not necessarily about the bottom line with dollars, although, the more money that we make, the more money that we can give away. But a lot of people, their blocks come from, not feeling like they're worthy. So we get down to the worthiness piece of that, or they haven't healed their feminine wounds. And this is for men as well, by the way, not just for people for Sakred She. And then I watch the iterations of their careers shift. Whether their career is like full-time, full-on, boss babe gal, and then I get my hands on them and they realize they don't have to hustle that much to be that successful. And then they reshape and reform their life into essentially, like my coin as the CEO of their life. Like, how can we have them show up with their core desire?
So it sounds like there's a lot of self-awareness within your program.
There's a lot of self-awareness in my program. I work in the quantum field. I mean, for the triad of change within energetics, there has to be first awareness. And then there's an acknowledgement when two people come together and we can share it, we can see it, it's real. Let God shine the light on it and let it just be obliterated. So then there's an acceptance, and then there's something that happens energetically where things can come through. And I know that may sound woo-woo to some of your audience, and I would have thought that too. However, everything's energy, and everything's energy. And let's face it, we would rather be around those that see possibilities versus only problems. Those that will workshop. I always say when my husband and I are having a hiccup, it's like, okay, time for us to workshop that. Like, what are we going to learn on the other side of this schism? In fact, I don't want to be around people closely that aren't willing to, like my friend Rachel that I mentioned, if I'm not calling my own foul and I have blinders on, I want to know I'm around people that actually will call it for me in love, because they know my divine purpose. They know that if I'm not walking in my higher self, and I want them to sting me back to consciousness. And that's something we say in my work, and the more intimate places of Sakred She is the feminine in all of us is made to sting the masculine back to consciousness. So when we're like airy fairy and not and out of alignment, whether we're not integral because we're not showing up on time, your friend's having an affair, I mean, whatever, cheating on your taxes, whatever it is, right? It's like, can we, I'm going to use this term, husband ourselves? Can we actually like sting our own, like kick our own tush? Can you kick your own tush, so to speak, and listen to your own integrity? And I really want to say this too, because this is a business audience that we have, is that so many women, I find they, if they're bitching and complaining that, it's not equal out there. And the truth is, and there's many ways that it's not, it's a lot better than it was. The Women's Lib movement for me, and I'll share this, is I think it's done a lot of good for us, obviously. I also think that women thinking that we need to be just like men in the workplace has actually hurt us, because we actually lead with our feminine intuition. We can go a lot further. And if more men would heal their feminine energy and lead with their own emotional intelligence versus the ego, we'd be okay. But let's face it, with every iteration, we have more women that are leading with the ego. And the ego is great. We need it. It keeps us alive. However, if it's not healed and we're operating out of shadow, that's where we get in trouble. That's where the competition is, right? That's where not coming together to collaborate is. You get what I'm saying there?
I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm soaking it in.
Love it. Love it. Love it. That was a long answer, but I think we got what we wanted there.
So looking back at your career, what's the most valuable lesson you've learned?
Gosh, I honestly think I'm literally in the impetus of learning it now. And the bottom line is that know what it is that you desire and rise to that occasion. Become the woman or the man that actually is worthy of that. We were born worthy and nothing can change that. But what I mean is that you actually grow into your shoes, knowing that you are there. You embody it or as if you're already there. And that power of the pivot. I mean, that's actually two. But understanding that if we really believe that the universe has our back, God's got us, let's show up as that. Because I truly believe that God doesn't give us any more than we think we can handle. When someone wants to scale their business, and if I'm working with someone more on the business side, because I do still coach business with people in the one-on-one space, it's like, are you showing up as a woman who actually is living her life as if she is worthy of that? And I'm not saying go buy a new car in debt. What I mean is that, do you really believe that? And we call that like a drala practice. Like, are you showing up like she who lives in luxury? And luxury is going to be different for me than it is for you. Luxury for me is actually being able to go to the mountains in the summer and walk around barefoot and have my 3 dogs with me and hike every day. To me, that is luxurious. It doesn't mean living in Paris and in a bubble bath, but for somebody it might. So again, how we do anything is how we do everything. So the biggest lesson for me is, am I in integrity? And when I go to bed at night, I ask myself this question, these questions: how did I live? How did I love? How did I matter? And did I serve everyone that I possibly could, that I knew that I could touch that day? And when you know you're going to ask those questions at the end of the day, you better believe you live your life a lot differently.
Well, you did mention pivot, so let's talk about your next milestone. What is your next milestone?
I love it. Well, we have a goal to touch 12 million lives directly and indirectly with the work with Sakred She. And what I mean by that is not just with the women, that I'm working with directly, like if you were my client, but the women that will be touched by people on your podcast, people that will be touched like your children, your grandchildren, because we like say we are Sakred She. And I get messages from my clients about their kids that actually are watching their moms like skipping practice, and the moms become a lot more fun because they actually have really healed the little girl that lives inside of them, right? It's just real. I want to keep it real. And sometimes that's not the easiest thing to do, but vulnerability is such beautiful fuel.
So out of curiosity, why the 12 million? Like, why that number?
I honestly don't even know. It was literally just in a meditation back in 2019. I literally was asleep, woke up in the middle of the night, and Sakred She with a K came to me. I woke up and I think it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I grabbed my phone across the room and I got it and I went on GoDaddy and I was like, Sakred She with a K. That was it. And the next day I just told John, I went, 12 million lives. Where'd it come from? I don't know. He's like, that's a lot, because he's like 25 years corporate. I mean, how did I marry that? I don't know. But 20, and he's like 12 million. He goes, do you know? And he's like analytical. Like, do you know how many? I'm like, I don't know. It's just 12 million. Right. But we've had families hire us. And I'm like, it's happening. I believe in generational blessings as well as generational curses. It is happening. He's like, and it's not like we have a wall with like dots on them, like with like like a map. I mean, maybe we should, but in my mind, it's already done.
Like with a number, either it signified a number or some kind of mathematical formula that led you to that specific number.
Oh, I cannot wait to tell my husband that you asked that. He's going to laugh so hard and go, oh no, yeah, there's, listen, Tony talks about in business mastery, there's 3 archetypes in a business, right? There's the operator manager, there's the entrepreneur, there's the artist. The operator manager for me is like way out to lunch. I've got to have somebody help me fill that role for sure. But I'm definitely the artist. I love to create, and I'm definitely the entrepreneur because I will always take chances, right? But that, yeah. So I am excited you asked me that, because that tickles me that you asked me, like, where did that come? It's a good question.
Well, and then let's go back to the good walk, that strut that brings abundance. Do you just walk around your house, or what's that magical tip that you can leave us with?
Woo! That's good. That S walk, though, is the flow. I mean, I say anything's a practice. The way I teach masculine feminine energetics is not like you need to go to a Sedona and dance around a fire and goddess dresses, although that's fun. I really say, can you just, when you walk through your door frame, can you slow down and think, can I soften my jaw? Can I swivel my hips? can I actually maybe take my hair out of my ponytail? Like, what can I do right now to be more in my body? Because let's face it, when we're in go, 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 go mode, we're not as juicy and we're not as creative either because we're too busy doing in the masculine versus being. But that S walk, I mean, it's now a practice. I mean, I walk down the aisle at the grocery store. There's a big difference, sister. When you go to pick up, I would kind of show you. So let's just say, like, this is the pen. You can't really see it, but let's say that the pen's in front of me. So if I am in my masculine and I want the pen, I always use a can of beans at the grocery store. So let's just say the can of beans right here. And if I'm in my masculine, I'm going to go in the grocery store. I'm going to go right in. I'm going to go get the beans, right? But if I'm in my feminine, I'm going to walk in and I'm going to like look around and I'm going to like just saunter. I say, take advantage and do the S walk all the way down. And you pick up this, you're looking at it, maybe smelling the lemons, and you're taking your time. Use your five senses, and then you'll end up in like the beans and like, oh, yeah, this will work. And maybe I'll take this, right? But that S walk, I'll send you something too. I'll show you. But it is this very beautiful way to allow your hips to open up. And it just calls in because it forces you just to slow down. It really does.
Okay, so all around town, whether I'm walking at the beach or at Publix, I'm
Yes.
doing the walk.
Yeah, I always know you're from Florida because you said Publix. But let me tell you a really quick thing before we go, if you don't mind. When I first started studying embodiment, it was because I realized I had so much knowledge in my brain, my membrane, but nothing had seeped down in my body. So when I started working with one of my favorite teachers for one of my certifications, like a 3-year certification, he was telling me, he's like, Sandy, your heart's been broken so much, you've become addicted to pain and disappointment. Like your body has become wired and fired, your brain, your neural pathways for that. You can get addicted to pain. You can get addicted to joy. And he said, I really want you, because I tell you, most women that come to work with me, they have a hard time accessing joy and sacred rage. So it's the first thing that I work on with them. And I was the same way. Believe it or not, I was like super stoic before my intervention. I was not flamboyant like I am now. I was just, honestly, I think I was probably kind of boring at the end of the day when I look back on my life. Successful, but not fulfilled, and definitely not living life like large, that's for sure. But anyway, so he said, I really want to give you a practice. And we practice piano, we practice tennis, because I want you to practice joy. I want you to skip for 3 minutes a day, wherever you are. It's got to be in public. And because for 30 days. And so what happens, I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? But I did. I mean, and I had video of myself too. So that was the beginning of this class that I was in and this certification to be able to bring my juices back to the work. So I'm skipping all over, Tampa Bay and anywhere I was, the airport, down the aisle of a plane, because when you start doing that, obviously you begin not caring what people think. They get happier, you're happier. It's hard to be feeling sorry for yourself when you're skipping. It really is. And that was one of the first embodiment practices I was given. Most people, when they hear feminine embodiment, they think sensual movement. That's definitely part of it too, but I really teach it differently, where I want you to have moment to moment practices where you can bring that in to pattern interrupt. So you don't have to always be so in go mode. You can bring in more of the pleasure of life.
So where can my listeners find you to learn more?
Yeah. SandySembler.com and SandySembler. I know we're going to have that quiz. SandySembler.com/quiz is a free analysis you can do. And just because you're a woman, don't think you're going to test as the feminine and vice versa. I know for me, I was so driven. I could not see the light. I could not feel pleasure. So Instagram's a great way to find me. Love LinkedIn. I'm all the things. I do a lot of teaching though on Instagram, I'd say. And we also have a YouTube channel, but Sandy Sembler, put me in the old Google and all these things pop up.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Sandy.
That was so great. And I'm looking forward to talking to you some more and getting to know you better and some of your listeners. And yeah, I'm just letting everyone be a part of this 12 million lives that are affected, because we really need to heal our beautiful heart. And again, I think that more women will be able to be more successful in the business world if they actually healed some of their masculine energy, because the masculine is our boundaries. The masculine is the one that will actually feel worthy of charging more, the one that feels worthy of not being embarrassed that they're making money, for example, because like I said, the more money that we're making is the more people we're serving and the more money we can give away. So it works both ways. It was exciting talking to you today. I mean, you're just a love, and I can't wait to see what your next love story is, because goodness gracious, your love story in business runs circles around so many of us. So kudos to you for all your success.
Well, thank you. And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership.
See you later. Bye.